Fulfill under the mango tree, wishing on a memory, hoping you were sitting, thinking of me. Although I play with myself, baby.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are listening to this. This is the Nang Selection, and I'm joined by one of my personal favorite in terms of vocal ability and actually controlling and using your voice as an instrument, Gabriel. In fact, no, I want you to introduce yourself, because often when I introduce people, they're always like, oh, you forgot this part, or you didn't say this right. Or how would you introduce yourself to someone who otherwise doesn't know who you are?
Gabriel Garzón Montano.
See, the pronunciation, I didn't even want to try it. You see, the way I just moved to the spiel, but yeah, I wasn't going to...
You would have said Garzón Montano.
Gabriel Garzón Montano. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm dandy. I'm happy to be here, like, in the presence of a credible artist. How are you spending your time?
Sleeping and steaming my voice, doing interviews, and getting my gears aligned to be funky on stage.
Okay.
What's the main concern?
What's your like optimum level of funk? Are we talking like James Brown, or is it more like Beyonce at Super Bowl? Like,
yeah, it's definitely it's like fresh era Sly Stone.
Nice.
Cynthia Robinson doing the funky chicken.
The funky chicken,
yeah,
with the chicken wings.
Yes.
You're a funny guy. So is this the first time in London?
No, this is our third time.
Okay. How would you describe the difference between the New York pace and the London pace, if there is any difference?
Yeah, it seems like both cities are kind of crawling with ants, with people. It feels pretty similar, like two big cities with lots of people coming from all over the place, and lots of culture and musical culture, especially strong in both cities.
Do you spend any time in any studios when you're in London, or is it more to work? And
no, it's literally just been getting to the bed, getting to the venue, getting back to the bed, and leaving. When
it comes to your vocal, as we've spoke about already, is there any process behind the way you use your voice? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you actually consciously decided that your voice is an instrument, where some people usually complement the music or the production or the vocal arrangement, etc. But your voice is actually an instrument. Is there any like specific process as to how you tackle this when you get in the studio?
I think it comes really naturally to me, and the lazy part of me wishes that I didn't have to do any lyrics, and that I could just make everything like just like random things like that. Also, I find that when I try to incorporate synths into my music, they just like intrude. They take up all the space, and all of a sudden my productions sound kind of cold. So I'm very wary of synths. Usually I like them in my bass or like twinkling around, if at all. And you can't get a synth more expressive than the human voice. So using my voice as a pad, you can do scoops, you can do portamento, like all these things that you have to program and try to find in a keyboard or in the box. Like the vocal is just seamless. It just translates straight from your mind. If you want more cut off, you just do
scratch
it up a little more. You want more? You can get more there. So I find that it's just like a really intuitive way of filling out a track. And just selfishly, I love to layer my voice and like to hear the harmonies like as they build. It's a nice high.
When it comes to music, there's interpolation, there's sampling, there's so many different forms of somewhat showing ode to music that you like. What is your take on you personally, like sampling an old 80s song, or because you don't really sample, do you?
No.
Why is that? I personally almost feel like your voice will complement a lot of like funk and jazz from back then, but you create your own. So is that a conscious decision, or you just never found a song that you really want to hone into?
Yeah, I think anytime I've sampled another record, and I guess the idea of that groove that I made just never made it to a final stage as a song. It just forever remained a loop or something.
Okay.
I mean, I've worked with... I think when I sample, it becomes a stylistic exercise. Like I have like a Barry White, like Power of Love, and I sampled the bling, 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 bling. But it's and then I turned it into like a Just Blaze, like Dipset kind of vibe
with the beats knock.
But it just sounds so specific to an era. Like you want to hear Cameron on it or something.
Yeah.
So
with the whole pink outfit.
Exactly. So I've never found a sample and worked it and then had it turn into a tune. Also, it's expensive, and they will take half your record.
Yeah, how about if
I hate to bring that into
no,
discussion.
I hear that. That's a very valid point. But how about if it's a song where it just never existed? Like it wasn't popping, quote unquote, whenever it happened.
Oh,
so,
and you just found a gem.
Yeah,
and you can work it in a way that people don't even recognize it. Yeah, I mean there is that.
But you've never come across that just yet.
I've done that on the cellular level.
This is what we're talking about.
But never as like a mood palette. Never like taking a whole phrase or something.
Yeah.
And I have interpolated something actually. Now that you mention it.
What was it?
What was it?
Yeah.
It was
Is it general knowledge, or you don't want to say it because they might come after your pocket now?
I don't think they will. It was Aretha Franklin's Sparkle.
What did you take?
The intro
On what song?
on Sparkle.
No. What? Wait. Huh? Aretha Franklin song
Sparkle.
is a part of Sparkle. I'm hearing both in my head, and
Yeah,
I'm
it's got the black cover, and she's in the middle. With
no. I know the
yeah.
songs. I'm just trying to hear the part. I'm trying to hear it. You're a smart man. Do you know that? Do you know you're a smart man?
Everyone is.
Everyone's a smart. Really, really.
I think everybody has a particular an intelligence particular to them. Everybody's got strong suits, and everybody's got weak areas that need developing.
Whilst you said that, that's even triggered another question in the sense of you play a lot of instruments.
Yeah.
Everything we've heard from you, is it just been you, or do you understand the importance of maybe getting a different ear or a different person to come in to help you with stuff? Or is it literally you and your engineer and you play everything as human as possible?
I think when I found the sound, it was the result of my limitations. The minimalism of it is just because I don't know any better, you know. And
Okay.
if I tried to overextend myself and get to like play
Happy.
yeah, or just try to flex too much, it's it would lose the tightness, and in the moment would be sacrificed.
Okay.
So that's why I just kept
On it.
yeah, and just like didn't move, and it became a strength. Like these static arrangements that kind of have all this tension in them, and it turned it more into like something to me that's more timeless and just has, it's like it's live, but it feels like a beat and like a track.
Yeah.
I don't really know where it lives, but it's me playing instruments the whole time, most of the time. And I think that's really important, because then when I just like music that is more controlled in that way. But there are things that I'll compose that are beyond my abilities, especially as a drummer. So I had David come through for The Game and for Crawl.
Okay.
Also, I don't play strings, so I had some string players come in for this record. But on Bichounet, I did everything.
How and I've kind of know the answer, but I wanted you to get more of a description of how fulfilling is it to complete something on your own, knowing it's of a standard and it's completely your work, as opposed to, obviously it's good to be in a team and everyone contributes and it's a bigger project, but the fact that you play all these things, you know how your voice works, you have one engineer who helps you. How do you describe the feeling after you've got that mastered CD back in your hand and you're like, this is my project?
It's really a relief. It's like, wow, we got away with that. We did it. we concentrated and we got it. You know, because the learning curve is huge on every song. You know, you have a plan, but you can't predict how it's gonna work or if it does work.
Yeah.
But the plan is one thing, and then the execution is reality, and so you're up against that. So by the time you have a track that you think is hot and you really are proud, it's a huge sigh of relief, and then this your ego gets super stroked for a minute, and then it comes down, and then you realize you have to like perform to that standard, And you're like, whoa.
all the time without fail.
You gotta learn, okay? Learning my own tunes, sometimes I'm like, why did I write myself into this corner? You know, like that.
You could do a different live version of
Yeah, for sure. But why not? Why not push yourself? So there's that. It's great. I look forward to making music faster and having like-minded people who can get things done, and because I am envious of certain teams that are well-oiled machines that just can put it out, and just there's something really envious about this certain prolific artists out there. But but I think doing it all alone is also really satisfactory because there's a micromanaging that happens, and you can get a really specific product.
All your products sound cohesive. They just sit well in my iTunes. They're perfect. There's one song actually I want to talk to you about just to get a better understanding of. But Trial, the intro to your latest album, it kind of seems like you don't want to. You want to play the game. You want to be more recognized. Correct me if I'm wrong. Be more recognized on a global scale, but you don't want to almost sell your soul and your integrity to do such. So, am I getting it right? What would you say the premise of Trial is, and the tonality of the whole album?
Mm-hmm. Well, tonality of the whole album. I'll start with the premise of Trial is it comes out of like observing myself when I'm in a depressed state or a lethargic state, where I don't want to go on, and like I don't want to work, and I'm just kind of giving into like the negative self feedback,
which artists often do.
Yeah, exactly. And then just, there's a certain, there's areas of my discipline that I haven't conquered, and areas where I feel incredibly undisciplined. So maybe I'll sit around and time will lay me down, and I'll make like good for nothing. I acknowledge that I'll pretend that I'm good for nothing. I'll play the part of someone who's good for nothing, which is easy to do. So it's like, maybe I'll do that. It's possible. I don't know.
Playing dumb, essentially.
Right. Maybe I'll trash my potential and just kind of sit around and just not do anything. Maybe I'll play the game and trade my trust for fame, just have a bunch of yes men around me and just like go and be super single-minded and still be just as lonely.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll learn the rules, make out like the fools, and maybe just like settle down and be more accessible, and like make myself more of a candidate to be a family man, and to have something that I know I'm coming home to be with a woman who knows when to expect my support.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll learn the rules, make out like the fools. I guess, yeah, maybe I'll give in and not do the difficult thing, which would be to be exactly who I am and to make this music.
Do you often flick between each three? Or was it just that one moment that made you write that song?
There's hints of it every now and then, it's a grind. But ultimately I'm just not myself when I don't do this. I shut down.
Even though your days off, you're thinking about it. Days off, as if you have any.
Yeah, exactly. Because my songwriter's soul is wilting when I'm out here presenting the show every night. I'm like struggling to still keep writing and pushing it and everything, and the repetitive nature of presenting the same thing every night then like boxes you in musically, and so you have to go back out and improvise and.
Okay, do you know what? I never even thought about that part of doing the same song maybe 10 nights in the same row. It's like it might eventually lose the initial feeling.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have to go back and just like sing other people's songs and just like let your voice do other patterns. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it just you kind of you lose your soulfulness. You just become kind of like a regurgitator.
Computer.
Mm-hmm.
The tone of the album.
The album is meant to be a place where people can relax and experience beauty in a way that that isn't exclusive. I definitely want like place a high value on beauty and to be inclusive. So to that end, I don't really put anybody down, and I don't bring myself up unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. I just try to tell a story of being a human being, and then also provide escapes that are healthy.
Do you listen to your own music, like when you're not performing?
I think when I'm making it, I do, and then afterwards, like just to check or to celebrate.
Okay.
But
celebration's a good one.
Mm-hmm. To be like, wow, this is really funky and like original, and yes, I'm so happy. But then that feeling dissipates, and then it's time to do new things. So lately, no.
Okay. Randomly, but Fruit Flies absolutely goes mad in a rave. I've played it randomly in a rave and it goes off. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why or how. Maybe it's just the people that are drawn to me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, completely.
That's really cool.
It's nice.
There was, where was it? In Paris, people like started dancing really hard during that song. And to me, it's like a moment where things get scaled back.
Yeah.
But I guess it has like a dubby thing to it.
Different
with the
feelings
bass.
for different people.
Yeah, it's pretty, and something I need to remind myself of is that I don't know my audience and I don't know who's in the room. And I can't underestimate people's intelligence or the capacity for this music to exist beyond my understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one example of that.
Sick, man.
Yeah.
Just to end off, Nang to me is what we do music underneath. It translates into like the epitome of awesomeness. There is good, there's great, and then there's Nang. Like Nang is universally unquestionable. Like if something's Nang, literally 99% of the world agree with that. What would be your description of something that is Nang? What do you know that is Nang?
Compassion is Nang.
Any specific reason?
I think it's just the best way to experience newness and to connect with people, which is like so what it's all about, and seemingly difficult, even for people who claim to be open and whose minds can
Still that bit
can
of
handle
vulnerability.
anything, and people who consider themselves to be very liberal can be still very closed off, myself included. And it's again comes down to like thinking that you know what someone's about, and it's just like this kind of, without knowing it, judging people or like writing a story about them in your mind, and then just not really being a space where the other person can exist, but just kind of like making a little cage for them.
A box off, you
Yeah.
come in.
And then you're like, yeah, I know what that's about.
when you really
And
don't.
you don't, and it's like a reflex that it seems to be way deep, and so it's something I think about a lot.
Clearly, yeah, it was a very concise answer. Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you.
Thank you for being who you are as a person.
Oh.
Thank you for having compassion, assuming you have compassion. You have compassion. Maybe not as regularly as everyone else, but you have compassion.
Man, yeah, the limits are very real, especially once you get close. But it's good.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Sick.
Dope interview.
You got good taste. I like you.
This is Gabriel Garzón Montano, and you're listening to Nang Selection with Ralph Hardy.
Ralph, my baby boy, I know your love is true. You did a thing around me. Beat me up till I was black and blue.